Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Aubrey Park Hotel for our press conference for Goodwin Promotions presents It's Go Time. Fantastic event. We've got 3 title fights that night. Bit of a landmark event for Goodwin Promotions. We're going to be televised live on Matchroom Fight Pass, so we're really, really excited about that. We've got a great card, top to bottom, a bunch of fantastic fighters. I'd like to introduce you to our promoter for the evening, Steve Goodwin.
So as Brett has said, it's a great night of boxing. Not only the title fights, we've got some great talent that we've already seen on the undercard press conference, and I feel that this could be one of the best nights of boxing that we stage. The 3 title fights that we have are Johnny Garton against Adam Battle for the Southern Area welterweight title, and that's an absolute cracking fight. George Jupp, Craig Poxton, that's going to be another brilliant fight. Both of these guys, all of these guys are coming to win. They're all on the backs of winning runs, and they're all more than capable of going above Southern Area title level. Rake Noble, who I've managed from the start of his career, has his first title fight. He fights Omar for the International Masters, the British Masters title at light welterweight, and that's going to be a cracking fight. Omar will always he will come to fight, and Rake has had had 6 fights, and he's really going into his first title fight in 7. And Rake has had his 6 wins in 1 year, so it's quite an early time for him to go for his first title, but there's no doubt that Lewis will provide him the sternest test that he's had so far. On to Lewis. Lewis is managed by Bellingham, who we've already seen at the earlier press conference, and I'd like to introduce you first, who's come all the way from Portsmouth, to Lewis Omar.
Evening, everyone. Evening. Hi, Lewis. So once again, I've got to make the disclaimer that I didn't write these questions. So Lewis, Slinky from London says, have you seen much of Rake Noble, and how confident are you in your victory?
There's nothing I need to see of him. All my game plans in my head. Game plans going well in training, and I'm sure that I'm coming here to win.
And follow-up, Andrew from Doncaster says, you have a negative record. Do you think that you're lucky to get this title shot?
Nothing negative about my record. All I've done has gone away. As you know, I have no amateur experience. I've gone out there, fought good boys. I fought looks of Chris Cheeman. He's lost the boys at Lenny Dawes. I fought Irish champions, Irish ABA champions. All I have is learning experience. There's nothing negative about my record.
And how's your training been going for this fight?
Training's gone superb. On weight, everything's up. Fitness is up. Weight squad, everything's gone okay.
Okay, great. Anybody in the audience have any questions for Lewis? Ladies and gentlemen, Lewis Omar. Thank you.
So he'll be facing Rake Noble, 6-0, 2 KOs. He's basically dominated every fight he's been in. As I said about other fighters that I've looked after, that he's been an absolute pleasure also to deal with. And most of the guys I look after are a pleasure, and it's great to work with these guys. I'm delighted to give him his first title chance. He's got a really tough fight, but he wanted this, and I'd like you to give a warm welcome to Rake Noble.
Good evening, everybody.
Hi, Rakeem. Gerard from Mill Hill says, who have you been sparring with in preparation for this title fight?
Well, I'm sparring with, well, for example, today I was sparring with former IBO world champion Richard Williams. I've been sparring with quite a few of the amateurs down at Miguel's Boxing Club, quite a lot of the professionals. So I've had a mixed range of sparring, fighting high level, low level, mid level, fighters bigger than me, smaller than me, orthodox, southpaw, just getting the feel for all round type of fighters, really. So yeah, I'm sparring with everybody, anybody.
Okay, good. And Amy from London says, you've only been a pro for a year. Do you think you're moving a bit fast, getting a title shot so quickly?
No, I don't feel like I'm moving fast at all. My lifestyle is boxing. Boxing is life. I don't stop training. After fights, I taper down a bit. When the fight comes up, I just step it up again. I can't remember the last time I was out of shape. I can't remember the last time I was overweight. I'm always ready for it. I could have been ready probably about 4 or so months ago, but I wanted to take my time with it. Nice little 8-round title fight. Get me onto bigger and better things. I'm not going to overlook my opponent, all respect to him, but I do believe I'll come through this test onto the next one.
Okay, great. And Sean from Warwickshire says he's seen you're a reserve and prize fighter. If you get it, do you think you can win it?
Of course. No doubt about it, no doubt. Just a little warm up for the 13th.
Okay, brilliant. Any questions from the audience for Rakeem?
I think you're in for a tough fight on the night.
On the 13th?
Yeah.
No doubt about it. Full credit to my opponent. He will be a tough opponent. I'm not going to overlook him. I'm training rigorously every day, putting in the hours, putting in the work. But like so far, 6 opponents, they've all stepped up. And like Steve said, I've dominated every single one of them. I've made little mistake. I think I've lost 1 round in 6 fights. I'm not just fighting journeymen. I think only 2 of the 6 have been journeymen. The rest have come to win. The rest have come to attack me, and I've attacked them back. So,
have you? Is it the first time as a professional going to match up with the southpaw?
No.
Yeah,
Two of my previous opponents as pros have been southpaws, and as an amateur I've had countless southpaws that I've taken on, so it's nothing new to me. Nothing new.
Thanks, Rakeem. Ladies and gentlemen, Rake Noble.
I've been promoting George Jupp for quite a period of time, and Mitchell Smith vacated the Southern Area Super Featherweight title, and I spoke to his manager, Derek Granger, and it was about trying to get George a Southern Area title shot. Lots of people didn't want to fight George, but one man did, and he stepped up to the plate, and he deserves a lot of credit for that, and he's a really live contender. And it's going to be a great fight. He's come all the way from Suffolk today. He's a great guy, and he's going to put up a great fight. Could well be fight of the night. I'd like to welcome you all to Craig Poxton.
Hi, Craig. Mo from Stevenage says you've won your last 7 fights, but this is a big step up in class. Are you ready?
Yeah, of course I'm ready. I train hard. I train hard whoever I'm fighting, but George, fair play, has done well. And I'm ready to step up. It's called go time for a reason. Boxing's all about timing, so let's see, 13.
And Elaine from Romford says you beat Eshim Pickering, which is the best name on your record. Was he finished by the time he fought you? And was that a credible win?
Yeah, of course it was a credible win. It doesn't matter who you fight. Everybody's going to pick holes in your record. I fought it. He offered me the fight. I took it. I beat him. What else can I do?
Again, I didn't write this last question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Ben from Belvedere. Why do you take a fight where you are so out of your depth and you'll get destroyed? Is it just about the money?
No, money's got nothing to do with it. Good question, though. I've got a full-time job. I've got a family. I ain't got to worry about money for a fight. I box because I want to box. I box since I was 9-year-old. I'm there to try and do what I can do and do well.
And how's your training been going for this fight?
Oh, brilliantly. I work closely with Matt Smith, and I work with Graham Everett up with Kickstock with some quality lads. And you learn a lot. If you're around successful people, you learn a lot. So training's going well, thank you.
Any questions from the audience for Craig?
Good luck on the night, mate.
Cheers, man.
All right, give it up for Craig Poxton.
Thank you.
As Craig said, he's been doing this stuff under trainer Matt Smith, who's travelled up with him today. I'd like to introduce you to Craig Poxton's trainer, Matt Smith.
Good evening.
Hi, Matt. So Ben from Belvedere, do you honestly feel you have any chance, or are you just looking for a lucky punch?
Looking for a lucky punch. Belvedere, that's where George is from, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, no, of course we've got a chance. It's a genuine 50-50 match, and a few people have said it could be the fight of the night, and I think they're right, it probably will be.
And Chu from London says, what's the game plan heading into this fight?
Well, we're hardly going to tell you that, are we?
Oh, go on.
George Jupp, you know, credit to him, he's a good lad, he's very tall. All I can say is Craig has always done his best against tall opponents, that's all I say.
And how's it been working with Craig as a fighter, as an athlete, as a professional?
You can't fault his commitment to training, you know, he's absolutely 100% committed to training, and that's all you can ask for.
Great, any questions from the audience for Matt? Matt Smith, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, well, it's obvious where this is leading. Craig is fighting a young man who took some hard tests early in his career. He fought Choi in prize fighter as a very young man, and anybody that watched that fight would have been so impressed by how George performed against Choi. at that time I really wasn't anything to do with it other than I was a promoter and I enjoyed watching boxing and watching the fights, and I was astonished that George didn't get a TV contract after that fight with Choi. So when I was asked to help promote him, I was delighted to help him and his manager Derek Granger. And the culmination of this, he's been winning ever since he's joined us, and now he's won his International Masters title and he's looked good doing it, but he has a big fight ahead of him and he knows that. But I'd like you to welcome to George Jupp.
Good evening.
Hi, George. So Reggie from London says, I see you stopped Dougie Curran in your last fight at a much higher weight. You're clearly strong at that weight. Do you struggle now to make super feather?
No, I make super featherweight really easy. That was a 9-9 fight on the day, so it just meant that I could eat the morning of the weigh-in and fight on the same day, and I felt strong doing that, so yeah, I had no problem making the weight.
And Simon from Norwich, how does it feel being used as a stepping stone for Craig? We're coming in force to see you get knocked out. Will you retire when you lose?
Yeah, what can I say to that? Yeah, no, he's obviously from up that way, so he's going to fancy his man, and we know we've got a hard fight, but that's why I'm training hard in the gym, putting the work in, and hopefully be ready for the best grade boxing there is.
And Stephen from Yarmouth says, you're making great progress. How far do you think you can go? Is a British title realistic for you?
I don't like to look past my next fight. Obviously, getting that British title is a dream. That's what I turned pro to do. So that is where I'm aiming for. At the minute I have a Southern Area title fight to take care of, and I want to do that before looking anywhere else.
And it's getting exceedingly tough to find fights for you. Is that a bit frustrating?
It's probably more frustrating for Steve and my manager than it is me, because I'm getting the opponents and they're doing a good job getting me and keeping me regular work. So yeah, it's not frustrating for me.
And how much pressure does that put on you as a fighter then?
Not at all really, nothing. Just turn up and do what I want to do, and that's win, so.
Fair enough. Any other questions for George? George Jupp, everyone.
Thank you.
There's been a lot of publicity in the press about promoters saying how difficult boxers are to work with, and I know I keep saying it, but George and his dad Darren have been absolute credit to boxing, have been delightful to work for, same as Derek Granger. And you know, the thing is that, you know, it's all like criticising boxers and saying they're difficult, and they're not. Sometimes you create difficulties for boxers, and then you moan when they react in a bad way. So we try our best to do that. And once again, you know, thanks to George and Darren. Okay, we move on now to the Southern Area welterweight title fight between Adam Battle and Johnny Garton. Adam now does have his chance. He stepped up to the plate to fight Johnny Garton, and full credit to him. And I'd like to introduce you all to Adam Battle.
Evening, everyone.
Hi, Adam. I'm going to edit this question a bit. You've not fought for a long time. How can you win? Johnny will beat you up badly, and I can't wait to see it. Can you promise you won't pull out and you'll take your beating like a man? Asks Paul from Millwall.
As you just heard, I was meant to fight Ahmed Patterson, who I think is a better fighter than Johnny. Also a better fighter than Bradley Ski. I was, you know, always shown that, or told and led to believe that Bradley didn't want to fight him. And every time Ahmed Patterson got near him, Bradley, he vacated titles and moved on. Maybe it's a sensible thing, and it was a risky fight for him. But so yeah, no, I'm not going to get beaten up.
And Marie from Highbury says you showed good form in beating Danny O'Connor and Nathan Graham. So what went wrong against Chris Jacobson?
When I fought Danny Connor, I think it was our second fight. He's gone on to be Southern Area champion, I think, at two weights, isn't it? And I beat him comfortable. To be honest, I didn't know much about diet and food and weight loss as much as I do now, but hurt him with a few shots, and to be honest, should have put him away. So that's that. Nathan Graham, I had 3 4-round fights, 9 months out because of a hand injury and an operation, and then got offered that. He had a 17-fight record, 14 wins, 7 knockouts. Went a distance in prize fight of a junior witter, and that was at light middleweight, and I beat him. you know, it was a close, tough fight, but it was at a weight I shouldn't have been boxing at, but still won. And he's notable for his punching power and speed, etc. But he couldn't match me for strength. Everybody knows that. Johnny's been told that I'm very strong, and I know I'm strong. Chris Jenkinson, well, everybody knows if they were there, I dropped him very, very bad. Got careless, walked onto him, went down, got back up and got stopped on my feet. That's experience. I had the fight won. I don't believe he even hit me before that shot. And it was a right hand I ran onto trying to get my job done. It happens in boxing. So, but I'm not going to stand here and bad mouth. Obviously, Johnny, I've watched his interviews. Nice kid, probably have a beer with him if we was to meet elsewhere. I got offered the fight and believe I can win it. So, that's it really. There we are.
Fair enough. And Wally Jones says, I saw you were due to fight for a Southern Area title earlier in the year. What happened there?
At Patterson cut his hand 2 days before. After I trained very, very hard, as a lot of people wouldn't want the fight. But I wanted it. I asked for either him or Bradley Skeet, and I got him. He pulled it out 2 days before. And that was it really. There was nothing I could do. They tried to replace the opponent but couldn't get anybody to do it. Lots of ticket sales I believe, and the fight was pulled.
And follow-up question from Wally. Can I have your predictions for the fight?
Nobody knows the prediction. As we say at boxing, I thought I had a fight, won, got careless and got beat. Anything can happen. Predictions is definitely a win.
Any other questions for Adam from the audience? Give it up for Adam Battle, ladies and gentlemen.
So we have Adam's manager here, Michael Bellingham, who's already predicted that John Weeks is going to beat Jose Lopez, so I'm quite sure we're going to have another prediction or two from him. I'd like to bring back Michael Bellingham.
We're talking about a real fight now, and first of all I want to thank Steve Goodwin, Goodwin Promotions, for making things happen. You know, a lot of people talk about they're going to help you out and get people the right fights, and then you sign with them, nothing really happens. But Steve Goodwin's been good to us, and it's only been like not even 6 months, 3 months. So, you know, so thanks a lot, Steve.
Yeah, absolutely credit to Steve. So Lisa from Surrey says you've got 2 fighters in the title on this show. What are your predictions for his fight? Who wins and why?
Well, first of all, we'll talk about Louis. Like, he's had no amateur experience whatsoever, and he's come into the pro game. He had 1 win in Portsmouth, and didn't look too clever, so we decided to go away, get the experience away, which he's done. I think that he's boxed some real good lads, and I think that on the night, even though his record suggests that he hasn't really, you know, he's lost his fights and everything, I think on the night, he's going to come out and do the business. He's boxed some tough lads. I think it was like James Fry's won 7 national titles and he took him to points decision and stuff, so, you know.
And how about Adam?
Adam Battle. I think Adam Battle's definitely going to win.
Name and nature.
Adam Battle's more of a thinking fighter, and no disrespect to Johnny. Johnny's a come forward fighter, so, you know, I think he's going to walk onto it and that, and I think Adam Battle's going to win, definitely. Yeah.
I think we asked this question earlier, but we'll ask it again. Paul Deach says, which fighter in your gym or fighter that you manage will go furthest in boxing?
That's a question I can't really answer because a lot of the fighters are at the very beginning of their careers, so, you know, just like Adam Battle said, like, who knows what's going to happen, you know. People get the right breaks at the right time and then go past other people. I've had it in my gym before, where I've had fighters that looked like they were going to go like a bit further than everybody else, and the shockers was the ones that you never knew that was going to go through, and people quit sometimes and get injured, and all sorts can happen in boxing, and sometimes you get like a little surprise, you know, so which is, you know, so I can't really answer that question.
Fair enough.
But Adam Battle was one of the best ones there.
And somebody else has asked, with the exception of your gym, do you have additional work outside of boxing to make ends meet?
Little bits and pieces, yeah, sell cars, Anything really. Until I get some more fighters and that, start doing more shows and everything, yeah.
Okay, any questions from the audience for Adam, or for Michael?
I like your suit.
Thank you very much. The only person that's commented on online.
Everybody's talking about it.
Yeah.
Give it up for Michael Bellingham.
Okay, just before we go and introduce you to Alan and Johnny, just want to say something about Michael, this is very rare in boxing. When Floyd Moore was out of contract, I had a meeting with Floyd and Michael down in Portsmouth, the first time we ever met. Now Michael's a manager himself, but he was more than happy for me to manage Floyd. And that tells you what a good man he is and what a good man in boxing is. That's why we're determined to do everything we possibly can to help him build boxing in Portsmouth. We're not there to help him win these fights, but we are there to help him build his boxing in Portsmouth. But no, he has been brilliant to work with, and we're really excited about working with him going forward, because in boxing there are some people that are really, really trustworthy and keep their word, and I don't think there's ever another instance of a manager letting somebody else manage one of their boxers that they could have managed themselves, so I really appreciate him doing that. Well, Adam Battle fights Johnny Garton, and Johnny was previously managed elsewhere, and he went into prize fighter, and around about 3 months ago, I think it was, I was asked by Alan to go and meet Johnny and have a chat with him, and thankfully Johnny decided to come under our wing, and we managed him, and I said we were going to get him a Southern Area title fight. We gave him a warm-up last month, and we're now able to deliver that promise to him, and he's in a tough fight, just as Rakeem is, and just as George is, but we've delivered the opportunities. Johnny's trained by Alan Smith, who trains at the iBox gym, got some very good fighters in his gym, including Bradley Skeet, who fights Frankie Gavin next week. He's had many British champions, and he's got some real stars in his gym, and we're hoping that Johnny turns into one of those stars. But here he is, the man himself from the iBox gym, Alan Smith.
Evening.
Hi, Alan. So Paul from Ealing says, what's your prediction on how the fight will go?
You know, it's a good fight. Adam's a good fighter. It's probably a 50-50 trade fight. You know, John's trained hard. I think John wins. You know, I think activity plays a part in it. It's a good battle.
It's a nine.
Terry from Rochester says, Adam Dingsdale got comprehensively beaten when he stepped up in class. Is the same thing going to happen to Bradley Skeet and Johnny Garton?
Oh, listen, well, you know, Bradley Skeet's not here, so this isn't about Bradley Skeet. Bradley Skeet's ranked number 9 in the world. He's undefeated in 18 fights, so it's nothing to do with Brad. You know, a bit unfair his name's brought up. But no, Adam Dingsdale, you know, he lost for a WBA belt as well. But, you know, this is 2 fighters at the same level. So, you know, that's the difference.
And Ben from Sheerness, how have you changed Johnny's training for his first 10-rounder?
Well, he's already done an 8, so you know, you can do an 8, you can do a 10, you can do a 12. So, you know, he's in the gym, you know, amongst good kids, all at title level, some ranked in the world in the top 10. You know, he's trained alongside Adam Booth, some of the great trainers. He's been all around the world sparring. So, you know, he can adjust to a 10-rounder easily.
And with Johnny recently signing with Steve, do you have any input as to who your fighter signed with?
Yeah, you know, I've got maybe 6, 7 fighters. Some are signed in America with De La Hoya. So, you know, we have an input on where we think they should go. Steve's a great man. He's done a good job with some of our fighters, and I think, you know, Steve's the right man for John.
It's that relationship between the fighter and the trainer, isn't it, that you can kind of advise and help kind of steer their career?
Yeah, definitely. You know, like I say, I've got one kid with De La Hoya, a couple of kids with Frank Warren, some with Steve. So, you know, you put the person or the fighter where he deserves to go, and who's going to look after him the best.
That's good company, Steve.
Not bad.
Any questions from the audience for Alan? Alan Smith, everyone.
Well, just talk about Bradley Skeet. I think we all wish Bradley all the best in his fight with Frankie Gavin, and really hope he can pull it off. Well, it's about the fighter top of the bill. Joint top of the bill is Johnny Garton. As I say, he's only lost the 1 fight to Sam Eggington in prize fighter. Again, no disgrace in prize fighter. I think prize fighter is a competition where fighters can go in there and really it's a no-loss situation for them. It doesn't mean anything in your future career, but it's worth to take a pop. Not saying that if I'd managed Johnny, we would have took prize fighter, because Alan will verify that before he went in there, I did say to Alan that I didn't think Johnny should go in. I didn't think it was suited for him. I think certain fighters in prize fighter it's suited towards. I've got Floyd more in the next one, and he's potentially well suited to prize fighter, as Michael will testify. But I think Johnny's more of a 10-round fighter, and I'm delighted that he's got his Southern Area title chance. So here he is. It's the man himself from London, Johnny Garton.
Evening. Hi, Johnny. Well, you can really tell what area people that wrote in for these questions are from, can't you? Jeez. So Peter from Lowestoft says, I saw your fight in Prize Fighter. I have no doubt Craig wins this fight, and the fact that you froze and your lack of heart and bottle will be exposed again. Is this lack of bottle a Millwall thing?
That's just his matter of opinion, and he's entitled to it, but I expect to show up, and I'm sure Battle does as well.
And Joseph Shaw says, what will a win in December do for your career?
Sorry, say that again?
What will a win on this show do for your career?
It puts me where I want to be. You know, I went into Prize Fighter because nothing was happening, and I want to be in tough fights, and I told this to Steve, and he's got me Battle, so what more can you ask for? And it will put me right up there, and hopefully push on for the English after.
And Ricky from Surrey says, what's it like to be part of a good gym?
Oh yeah, it's amazing. Tough sparring, you bounce off each other, every day you have to train hard, so yes, it's good.
And Anthony from Soho, I hate to end on questions like that. I hope somebody else has got a good question. Anthony from Soho says, do you feel in your career that you've been overprotected? And who chooses your fights?
Well, it's all down to your management. I can't pick my fights, it's down to my management. Maybe I have been a bit protected, yeah, but that's why I went to Prize Fighter. It all paid off, and I've asked for a tougher fight, and now I've got Battle, so yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
And how's your training been going, getting ready for Battle? Have you changed things?
We've changed bits, it's been tough, you know, I've been working hard, and we're working on things, and we'll see if it pays off on the night.
Anybody in the audience have any questions?
Why are you called the Pexican?
Well, I've got quite an aggressive style. Everyone said I fought like a Mexican, being from Peckham.
Ah.
It all makes sense now.
I've got a question. Obviously, Adam dropped Chris Jenkinson, so how do you think you're going to deal with Adam's power?
I'll find out on the night.
Any other questions?
I'd like to answer to the Soho, the guy from Soho.
Yeah.
You know, you look at Mickey Duff, you know, with the greatest matchmaker. It isn't who you box, it's who you don't box. So, in honesty, I think if you can get a kid to, like Bradley Skeet, that Adam doesn't rate, who's in front of him, he's number 9 in the world, you know, it's clever management. You get a kid to where he should be, the easiest route. It's not the hardest route, it's the easiest route. So whether Johnny gets to, you know, he's actually got a really hard fight for the Southern Area. Patrick Mullins and Spencer Oliver did exactly the same thing. 2 kids at the same level. But you get a kid to where he can go as easy as he can. And that's called matchmaking.
I really rate Bradley out. Really rate him. I didn't say I didn't rate him. I really rate him.
You know, that's not just an opinion. You know, Brad shouldn't really be brought up with nothing to do with Brad today. But that's what I'm saying. You get a kid, if I could get a kid to 29-0 and fight no one and get $5 grand a fight, I'd do that, because at the end of the day, that's what you've got to do. You get a kid to as far as you can, as quick as you can. Jim's got 2 kids in the top 9 by the WBA and have not really boxed anyone. But that's called clever management.
I was going on the show in Brighton in the dressing room that day. Can't remember who you had on the bill, but you told me you didn't. I said I was told you avoided Patterson, and you said to me, yeah, we didn't really want that fight, so we vacated the Southern Area. That's why I brought up Brad. Yeah. Not saying I don't rate Brad, because I do. He obviously wouldn't be where he is, and I wish him all the best. And he's a lovely fellow. I've known him years.
That's not nothing. You know, Adam's a nice kid, and we get along. But you know, the reason for Brad is that if I thought that he's going to have a hard fight at Southern Area and that's his limit, then I would have not give up. He's moved along every single belt to get to number 9 in the world, number 3 in Europe, and number 4 in Britain. His fight next week is just also from number 3 by the WBO world title. So you know, that's just clever management. That's not.
Of course, no, of course. But the only reason I brought his name up was because the guy I was fighting for the Southern Area before Bradley was brought up into that sort of thing, so I only brought it up on that.
I mean,
respect.
Patton's a good kid, a tough kid.
He's a good tough kid, and I'd have had my hands full.
Yeah, but even for Brad, so you know, that's why matchmaking is always done between the manager, trainer, and the promoter.
Sure. Top of the bill is going to be a fantastic fight.
It's a great fight.
I think it's going to be really, really exciting. Looking forward to that myself.
It's a 50-50 fight.
Just going on to trainers, I think that a lot of trainers don't get it. They don't understand how it should be done. They don't understand the business of boxing, how fighters should be matched. And Alan has to be one of the most realistic, if not the most realistic trainer out there. He really, really gets it, and he's a pleasure to work with.
Ladies and gentlemen, one more time for all of our boxers.